All right, Mr. Gill.
What's up, Pastor Rocha? Talk to us.
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. My little sunburn from being out in the Colorado River, but we're doing it.
What's the heat over there? Because over here yesterday it hit a peak of 118, and I think today was 115.
No, it was like a steady 111, 112.
It's still hot.
No, it's still hot, but we were in the river all the time, and it was beautiful because you're in the river, and the place that we got, it's called Branson's Resort. Boo Boo's family actually has like a reunion there every year, and he invited us.
Oh, nice.
And it's very cool because you got like like it's almost like a single apartment, like a U-shaped one, and you're like, I don't know, maybe 200 feet from the water. And wow. So if you get hot, go back to your room, take a nap, not come back out, hit the water. But at night, what surprised me was it seemed like it got hotter at night, dude. That was the crazy part.
Yeah, we were in Lake Tahoe, and as we were over there, it was for Lake Tahoe, it was still warm. I think it was in the 90s, low 90s.
Right.
But as we came down into Sacramento, it started getting hotter and hotter and hotter.
I mean, it hasn't stopped.
Yeah, you don't feel it. You're in a car, it's air conditioned, but then I stopped to grab a soda and it just boom, it just hits you in the face,
Yeah. So what's going on? Let's talk to us. I know we had a couple conversations and you had some questions.
Yeah, well, first of all, I appreciate you coming onto my platform on my channel. And
sure.
I actually started a new channel because I kind of wanted to separate the sermons, Bible studies, devotionals, and separate it more of my personal things like these conversations and different things. And I really wanted to get you on here because of something you said something interesting a couple of weeks ago that I didn't know. And I don't know if you've talked about it on the channel or not, but you had said at one point, I don't know if the right word is you were angry at God or hated God. I'm not sure, I'll let you talk about it, but you had mentioned something about a brother of yours.
Yeah.
And I asked you if you could share about that.
Yeah, I won't go into specifics about how my brother passed away, just out of respect for my mom's. But yeah, my brother passed away. It was in June of 2011. I remember the day vividly. And that day, my life completely changed. And whatever small amount of faith that I had, I've always said I'm not a real church-going guy, but I've always had, some kind of faith. I mean, you have to, especially in this game that we used to play. And once that happened, it actually took a little while for it to really kick into me. I did the services. My mom didn't want to do it. It was kind of arguing with mom back and forth. We did the services. We cremated my brother, did the whole thing. And then I went back to work. I went back just like how I am. I'm a guy who grinds and hustles. So I went back to work thinking everything was absolutely normal. It is what it is. My brother passed away. Life goes on that quick. I thought I'm a strong guy. I've been through crazy stuff like this before. It's not going to phase me as, like normal people. And then next year, or I think maybe like around May or something, I woke up rotten. I didn't care about work. I didn't care about my marriage. I didn't care about my life. I started heavily drinking. I started pretty much going and hitting the bars any day of the week, and was just in a big pit. And when I was in that pit of sorrow, hate, anger, my relationship with God was non-existent, and it was like for maybe a few years after that, Pastor Rocha.
Now, well, first of all, let me say I'm sorry, condolences. I know it's been years, but I just want to pay my respects to you and your family. And second, I think this is important to talk about because I think that a lot of times we don't know what somebody's gone through when they are angry toward God or angry toward Christians or anything like that. And sometimes we don't understand what they've gone through. And I think this is a perfect time and place for you to share in that because recently somebody cussed me out and threw it up on video, and some people asked me, why did you smile? And I smiled because I don't know what that person went through. What would get them to the point of saying F Jesus, Right. And I just think that your situation, your story, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched every one of your videos. I don't know if you've talked about this on your podcast or not, but I did sense, even up to a year and a half, I'll be honest with you, I did sense a little bit of mockery toward God from you. And And I've noticed you've changed in this last year.
Yeah, and that's more than fair for you to say, because it wasn't the mockery. I'm somebody who really doesn't believe, or didn't really believe, any kind of like a church organized religion. And
It wasn't toward God. It was toward the religious part.
well, I think it was yeah, it was yeah, towards a lot of it, because I mean, we all kind of have, well, not all, some of us have different meanings of what God may be or what faith may be. And before, my thing was just some kind of faith. But even when I was a young kid, though, I was raised in a family that was zero religion. And I mean zero religion. It was more my mom saying, F God, F the church, what have they done for you? I'm the one putting in work. I'm the one out there selling dope. I'm the one out there putting food on the table. And she was just putting the law down, and to me, I'm a child. I'm listening to stuff, and I'm like, well, then, F church, F God, there is no God. Or, because obviously my mom went through some traumatic stuff herself in her life, and she was just pushing off those feelings, towards my brother and I, and that's how we got our things. So that's why when I saw that young guy, whoever he was, that said that to you, I text you, because I was talking to my wife, and I said, yeah, I could have seen myself doing something that dumb when I was that young, but I think for that guy, it was more of a call for help. It was more for, like, I need some kind of attention, because nobody's gonna come out there, especially. I think, was he the one filming it?
Yeah, he was the only one in the car.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. He's the one filming it, so he obviously wants that attention. He wants somebody to talk to him. So that's what I'm looking at, because a lot of times when you're in that lifestyle, there's many people that will say they don't care, they're all about that, and there is a few that eventually get to that point of gang banging and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But the majority are just young men and women who are completely lost, and most likely have no kind of structure in their home, and have no father figure to sit there and tell, hey, mijo, come here, dude, what's the problem? So I think that's kind of what that guy was probably looking for. But, if you don't get good attention at home, you're going to go out on the street and look for that bad attention. He was just probably putting that hate that he had going on in his life and all the stuff that's going on with him, and try to put that energy towards you. But you, knowing who you are and where you've been, that's why you're like, man, this ain't gonna phase me. I'm not gonna bite and get into an argument with the guy, because nobody would win there and then.
Yeah, nobody wins. But I think you hit it right on the nail. It was a cry for help, because I think that most people, let's be honest, most people don't believe in what a lot of the churches are preaching nowadays, especially in westernized Christianity. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of hypocrisy, there's a lot of people not living what they're saying. And I think that I wonder if he drove away surprised that I didn't snap back, because maybe he's been doing this to a lot of Christians, and all of them resorted back in 0 to 60,
right? And
then I didn't. And maybe that's the one thing he needed to see, that there is a God. I don't know.
Right. It's a learning curve for him, and hopefully somebody knows who he is and gets at him and says, hey, dude, what's the issue? Because there's definitely some issue there.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting, because you yourself, like you said, you were angry at God and whatnot. And how does somebody approach? Let's say I'm a pastor, I'm just a Christian.
Right.
And I approach you, and you feel that way toward God because your brother, obviously, and maybe you said what your mom said. What is the proper way to approach somebody like that?
I think it just takes time. I think many people just kind of want to try to help too quick. And one of the worst things you can tell someone is, I know what you're going through. I know what you're feeling. Unless you've really gone through something like that, you're not going to know what I'm feeling. You're not going to know what I'm going through. I remember my cousin, and she told me this after her little sister died, which is also my cousin. She died at 18 years old. This happened maybe like around 5-6 years ago, right? And then when we were doing all the service and stuff, my cousin comes and tells me, hey, Gil, I'm so sorry. I said, sorry for what? I said, I remember when I told you at your brother's funeral, I'm sorry, I know what you're going through. She goes, I had no clue, but now I do. I said, yeah, unfortunately, you're joining that club. Wow. And it's such huge pain. But the biggest thing that I can tell people that are going through that is talk about it. And that's where I made my mistake. And I said, I went back to work, back to grinding, thinking, you know what, I don't need to talk about this, you know. No, what happens is you don't speak about it, and a rot starts growing in your stomach or your belly or your heart, and you don't even know it. And then one day you'll wake up just like me, rotten inside, not caring about anybody else, because I got so much pain inside of me. And that pain, if you don't speak about it, it stays in there, it just grows and grows and grows. So I learned that I had to start talking about it. Luckily, my wife was a strong, beautiful woman that sat there and said, "No, man, we're gonna work this thing out," and we did. You know, now it's been, since my brother's passed away, it's been over 10 years. I'm at a much better place. I can speak about it with, you know, with ease. But there's not a day when people say it, it's true. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about my brother. It just doesn't happen for whatever reason. Hey, bro, what's going on? But what started bringing my faith back was working with people like you, working with Pastor Ray from Victory Outreach out here. And the first time was when we started getting that handball tournament going. I think that was in 2018 or 2019 when the channel was very new. And my homeboy worked at one of the, I think it was Blinky's place. He's out here. He's a big time gang interventionist. And I hit him up. I said, man, I'm gonna do this handball tournament. You guys want to help in? And they were like, yeah, we're all for it. And that's where me and Pastor Ray ended up meeting each other. And they're out of North Hollywood. And it was just from the beginning to the very end. Ever since I've met Pastor Ray, has been a great just collaboration between us, because I see what the church is really doing, especially the Christian churches, what they're doing, how they help the community, how you guys go out, feed the homeless and all that. And it's like, it's not just talking about it. You guys are really doing it. So it's like, it's the opposite side of a gang, right? And at one point I was a straight gangbanger. So I knew who were the guys that were really putting in work, who's doing this, who's doing that. So I respected that part of the game that much more, because I said, all right, these guys are the gangbangers. Well, you guys are the gangbangers for the truth, for helping people out. You're the gangbangers for God, who are really putting in that work. And I that was the part that just kind of started breaking that shell out of me, where I'm like, oh man, you guys are killing me. You guys are making me believe in God more and more every time, every time I deal with you guys. But you know what? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I you know, when I first heard of your channel and I was watching it, and my wife Sharon goes, "You're gonna be on that show someday." And sometimes I would hear you kind of make fun of Christians and whatnot, just a little bit. And in my heart, I'm like, I'm never gonna be on this guy's show, and because I respect what you do, you know what I mean. But I'm like, he ain't gonna want no preacher there, you know. So it was a huge honor, man. It was a huge honor, and when you invited me, and you gave me liberty to share, and at the same time, I think that it helps break down the stereotype that Christians are all conservative, and in the sense of all, you know, I don't know, just the whole suit and just speaking like Old Testament language, right. You know, old King James language, and I hope that it allowed me to put a fresh face, that you can serve God and still joke and have fun and hang out at American Cholo, you know what I mean? And I just I thank God for that opportunity, and I thank you, you know, for the opportunity also, you know, and especially the fact, like, I didn't know that about you. Have you shared about your brother before in your podcast?
I've never really like done a whole spill on it. No, I've said a small bit about it. Only my like true close people know what happened, and it's a crazy story, bro. But like I said, it's because of my mom that I just don't speak about it, because to my mom, you know, that's her baby to the very end. That is one piece of pain that I can't sit there and tell her, I know what you're feeling, because I don't know what she's feeling. I hope to God I never get that feeling, because I mean that's the hardest thing any mother can do, or any parent can do, is have to bury their child, and that's what she did. And that's the only reason I don't speak about it. But I do speak about it like how we're talking about it now, and it's therapeutic. It really is. It's therapeutic. And that way, also, when I see people who lose siblings, I always try to go and talk to them and let them know, listen, man, I do know what you're going through right now. You know, the world is in slow motion. Everybody's moving fast. Everybody's Their world is continuing, your world has stopped. And that's what happens when somebody that close to you dies. Your world just stops, you're in slow motion, and everybody's is just, flying. And then after the services are all done, after the parade, which I like to call it, the parade comes in, everybody's there talking, having they're when people go to funerals, they're having a good time, but not in a bad way. They're celebrating that person's life, right? And that's what I mean. But then after that's all gone, and you're sitting there in a room by yourself, or you're sitting in a car by yourself, and then you wonder why you're just driving to work or wherever, and you just randomly have to stop and pull over because you're crying your eyes out. That was me, man. That was me for many weeks, and I didn't know anybody to talk to. I really didn't, and this was the part that kind of probably pushed me more back from the church. I go to 2 churches. Well, it's locked. I'm like, really, God? Come on, man. I need somebody to talk to. I go to the other church. It's locked as well, and it was just bad luck on my part or whatever it was. And it was just like, the hell, dude. And for a while, I did. I had zero faith. Before that, I would wake up every morning. Hey, God, good morning. Thank you. Just say my own either prayer or just have my communication with God every time I'm driving to work. I was like, what, thanks, this and that, whatever I would say, and get my day going. But there was 5, 6, 7 years that conversation was not happening anymore. I disconnected my phone between God and I just kept going. But like I said, after meeting people like yourselves, man, that are out there really making a huge change, and you guys obviously are not doing it for the money. You're doing it, to spread, the gospel of the Lord. And I got to respect that. And like I said, every day I'm growing as a person. I've gone to church a couple of times over here with Pastor Ray. And as a matter of fact, when I was going through all that crazy stuff of my name slandering that one Sunday, I had to go. My wife was here, and she was sleeping in. I told her, I'm going to church. She's like, you gonna go to church by yourself? I said, yeah, I'm gonna go to church, man. I straight up, I need a message, right? Because I was getting pissed off myself. I was like, dude, I'm gonna blow over. I'm gonna start saying stuff that I shouldn't be saying. I said, I need to go there. And when you go and you hear somebody's testimony or their a lot of times you can relate to it. And that's how I felt. I went there, and you know what? It really, really helped, man. And like I said, that's why I got so much more respect for you guys.
Yeah, I just thought of something too, is that since we're on here, is the fact that there's certain cliches that a lot of Christian people say at funerals, and we got to stop doing that. And that's not even just Christians. A lot of people, like, there's certain things that they don't realize how hurtful they can be. Like, oh, God needed them more than you.
Oh, my mom hates that one. My mom hates
that is
that
the
one.
worst thing you can say, because you know what will happen is the person could literally believe that and hate God, because you're like, seriously, like, God, you have the whole world, the whole universe, but you needed my loved one. Know, there's certain things that you just don't say, but that's, to me, that's the main one. There's probably a bunch of them that are out there, but that's one of the main ones. Also, they're in a better place, or God had work for them, or their work here is done. All that stuff,
it was God's plan.
Yeah,
and it was like, wait a minute, my son got shot, and it was God's plan. Like, no, it wasn't God's plan. It was somebody's free will who sat there and did something, and took your child. Unfortunately,
and that's hurtful, man. I grew up, like you said, my mom became a Christian when I was 5, my dad when I was 8. But there was one moment I can recall when I was angry at God. It wasn't a whole long time, but my grandma, she had cancer, and I gave her a couple weeks to live in Texas. So I flew my mom down there, one-way ticket, and I told my mom, we're gonna stay until she goes, And but my grandma, man, was the sweetest woman in the world. Loved God, always at church. I mean, she's like that abuelita. She just this beautiful hearted woman. And when I saw her suffering on her bed with cancer, I remember barging out of the room one night. It was in Texas, and I barged out and I went walking. I didn't realize my mom followed me, and because my mom, I was not saved. I was not a Christian. I was a gangbanger. I was a dope dealer. She knew that I would sometimes lose it, probably take it out on somebody on the street or something, and she followed me and she goes, what's wrong? And I said, you know what's wrong? I said, the fact that my grandma gave her whole life to the Lord, goes to church all the time, worships God. I said, and this is how he finishes her off.
Or he pays her.
Yeah, by her suffering, that you guys have to change her diapers. Like, this is the God of mercy and love, and I was so angry, man. And my mom just stayed quiet. Like, sometimes I think mom knew I just had a vent. She'd rather me vent on her than on somebody that looked at me the wrong way.
Right.
And she just walked with me. And I started hearing preaching out of nowhere. And I'm like, seriously, God, what is that? And there was it was right in the barrio, like where my grandma lived, there was no sidewalks. It was just straight barrio there, all Latinos, you know what I mean? And there was this little outreach with the outside revival. So I sat there and I was still angry. I'm just like, really, God, really? And I walked back, and the next day, my grandma passed still, but the next day was crazy because I was staying at my cousin's house, which is about 5 houses down from my grandma. So every day I would go to sleep there, wake up, take a shower, then go spend time with my grandma, and I took a shower, started walking over there, and I heard all the kids running. I heard laughing with my aunts and my uncles and my cousins. And then I got even more angry. I got angry at my family because I'm just like, are you serious? She is dying, suffering, and you guys are here laughing, reminiscing about whatever. And I kind of walked in ready to tell everybody off. And my grandma was sitting down in the living room laughing and joking with them. And I couldn't believe it. And then she looks at me and says, "Hi, mijo, I'm hungry." And I said, "What do you want? I'll get you anything you want." And she goes, "I want a cheeseburger from Whataburger." And before anybody had a chance, I had a car rental. Boom, I went and got it for her, sat down, watched her eat every bite, bro. I did not want to leave that living room. And she was enjoying it. She's, "Oh, está muy bueno, mijo," and she just enjoyed it. And maybe about an hour, she got tired. She was taking me back to the bed, and that was the last time she ever got up. She passed, I think, 2 days later. And but I think that there was a lesson in that, where God says, "David, I can raise her up if I want, but it's time for her to come home."
Right.
And but that was a crazy moment where I think that's the only time I was really, really, really angry at God. So I can see how that could have really spun and me hold on to that for a lot of years.
Yeah, for sure. And that's usually how it works. Cause I mean, I was at that stage for many years, man, because my dad died when I was 9. The only father figure I had after that was my stepdad, who sold drugs with my mom, and he got murdered out here in North Hollywood in 1990, I believe it was. So then my stepdad died, and then I started coming out of YA. So I'm finding myself in cells, and I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, there is no God, man. I said, this is it. This is what you got for me. So, and what happens is you grow that anger. And then that anger started spewing out to the streets to other people, because I want people to feel the pain that I'm feeling. But in reality, you can go out there and hurt 100 people. It's not going to make your pain go away. And it took me a long time to figure that out as a man, that ain't the way. Like when people want to sit there and hold on to anger because they say, "Oh, they killed my dead homie and this and that." And I'm like, man, I got all kind of dead homies, and I don't go to their parents' house. I don't go look at their kids. I don't go to Christmas. I'm gonna sit there and fake the funk, homie. Somebody dies in your hood, most likely, yeah, you're gonna go to the funeral. You're gonna sit there, laugh, drink a couple of beers with the homies. But once that parade's over, that family is the one stuck with that bill, homie, for the rest of their lives. And for us to continue to fight one another for fights that we didn't even start, fights that we don't even know where it came from. It's so backwards, and hopefully, programs like your guys' programs that you do in church and all that help kind of, minimize a lot of that gang violence, drug addiction, all that, because we need people in the community like you guys, man. And I appreciate you guys. I want to tell you that, Pastor Rocha.
No, I thank you. I thank you. And I think this is a good conversation. And I think it's a segue into more conversations about this. And And this guy that cussed at me, I think people shouldn't get angry at it. I think it should open up conversation. I think if anything, maybe I think a lot of people didn't like it. And maybe they've done that, maybe not that far, but maybe somebody had said, hey, Jesus loves you, and you flip them off, or they give you a flyer and you just rip it up in front of them. And maybe by seeing how ugly that looked, when I'm just holding a sign on the street corner that says Jesus is Lord or Jesus is King, right? And I'm just holding a sign. I'm not hurting nobody, and for people to see how ugly that looks, maybe they'll think twice when they see somebody out there. Maybe they're tatted up, maybe they're all blasted, and they're standing out there sharing Jesus. We're not doing it to try to shove it down nobody's throat. We're just so glad that God saved us, and we just want the same for everybody else. Simple, man. Really simple. So many people that are out of addiction, out of alcoholism, out of a lot of stuff, and they're just excited to share what God did in their life. It's not about shoving the Bible down nobody's throat. It's about sharing. When you find a good burger spot or a good Mexican restaurant or something, you share it with people.
Yes, sir. Yes,
when you watch a good movie, what is the first thing you do? You tell people, oh man, you got to watch that movie on Netflix.
For sure.
Same thing. We're just trying to share the goodness of God,
Yeah, and listen, we've had you've been to my house. We had a late lunch with your wife and I. We all sat there, and you guys have never pushed any of that. You say, can we pray? Yeah, for sure we can pray before our meal. But I mean, you guys have never tried to push any of that down my throat. You guys have never tried to sit there, because and that's what people think. Like you were saying, you're breaking that stereotype of you can hang around with Christian people. It's not like they're walking around with the Bible every day and saying you gotta follow the Lord. No, you guys ain't pushing that much subscribes to the Lord, but you guys are saying, you know what, this is what we're doing, this is what we this is what we believe in. And I love it, man. It's a great thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah, and then if you drop a F-bomb, I'm not like, I'm melting. You know what I mean? Like,
but I will apologize when I say I try not to.
No, man. I know that you're a busy man. I know that it's a work day. I didn't want to take too long, man, but I really, really appreciate you coming on my platform, man. This means a lot.
Absolutely.
Especially because I'm trying to build this channel, you know what I mean? And we wish nothing but good things for your channel, for your family, for your wife. The good food she made us. Hopefully there's a part 2 to that.
Absolutely. You guys are invited anytime over here.
Hey, don't say that. I'll show up.
Hey, when are you guys coming down here on the bikes?
Oh, that's not until the first week of February.
Okay, it's coming. It's coming quick.
Yeah, as it gets closer, though. I mean, I'm gonna again remind you guys, because I know Paul is gonna be at the end too.
All right.
Yeah, Paul and Big Joe said they're gonna be at the end, right? That'd be cool, man, if you can make it out there, Santa Monica Pier, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, my plan is I'm gonna get on my truck and my bike and go like 2 blocks in front of you guys before the pier, and I'm gonna come. I'm gonna get some water and I'm gonna come drive and talk about. I'm gonna steal your guys' thunder.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm playing, man. Yeah, if I can make it there, I definitely will. And I want to thank you and your wife for what you guys do. Thank you for bringing me on your platform. As soon as this thing airs, let me know. I'll share it on my channel. Hopefully, bring some traffic down your way.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I'm going to air it tomorrow. I'm going to render it and whatnot tonight, but I'll probably set it to premiere in the morning.
Right on.
Yeah, so I'll send you the link.
Okay, for sure. Hey, thank you so much. God bless you and your family.
Thank you. All right, let me stop this recording. Hold on.